Hey everyone, Nubkeks here, and welcome to some Team League. I gotta be honest with you, this is the second time I'm recording this video. I don't know what happened the first time, but I think I played the video on like 1.1 speed by accident or something. But basically, I literally just sat down 5 minutes ago to try to edit this video to get it up for today, and I went, hey, hang on, my commentary stops when there's still about 2 or 3 minutes left in this game. What is going on? Why is it out of sync? So I decided, the quickest thing to do would probably be just to dive back in and have it actually fit with the gameplay at proper speed. I didn't even notice, which is kind of weird. But anyway, here we are. And yeah, we're going into this, by the way, with a pretty solid idea of what we want to play already. Basically, I played an unranked draft game. There are these 4 guys. They were a team together. I was the 5th person on the final pick. And they picked up ETC, Kerrigan, the Butcher, and Tyrande. And they were literally roaming around the map, just ganking people all over the place. I picked up Lili as a sort of second support to fit in with that composition. And pretty strong solo lane hero as well. With some decent wave push depending on your build. And I just kind of built into damage and had some fun. And I think I got the Painbringer medal or something in that game. So they said, hey dude, do you want to join in with us? And I said, yeah, sure. They said, do you want to play Team League? I said, yeah, sure. They said, we're trying the same comp. I said, that's fine. It was actually kind of a nice experience for me going into this. We're supposed to lock in the Lili ETC first, but he locks in the Kerrigan. And you're going to see this is going to ruin everything, basically. But yeah, it was actually a really nice experience for me, because playing with doing the community games or whatever it is that we do, often expected that I'll shot call or give advice or whatever. And same thing in Hero League, expected oftentimes, usually the captain, and often expected to give advice or to shot call or stuff like that. This was really nice to sit back and have none of that pressure on me at all. Just be like, yep, alright, you guys tell me what to do. You guys make all the calls. I'm not going to have to do anything like that. I'll just pick the hero. You tell me to pick, do the bans, you tell me to ban, and I'll follow you around and do what you say and just play my game. It's very relaxing. It's funny, the Team League thing. Anyway, the enemy team, as you see, still the ETC. And our player over here is, yeah, well, this captain guy said to go Lili Stitches, so I lock in the Lili. However, someone is AFK, and he randoms into Sergeant Hammer. So it's actually not too bad. It fits with what we've got. Sergeant Hammer is good in the map. We need a range damage anyway. But yeah, it's not what we were intending to pick. So we'll see how things go. But yeah, I think he also AFK'd at one of the other bits as well. So it's definitely a worrying trend. Yeah, it's pretty worrying. Anyway, the enemy team has got a pretty strong front line with the ETC and the Zarya. Now I'm in a bit of a tough spot where possibly going to be a solo healing Lili, which is not what I wanted to do. And yeah, Saucy over here is saying we're screed. It's like being screwed, but even worse, being screed. And we'll see if the enemy team picks up. By the way, as you notice, like Team League, they can pick your heroes in any order. It doesn't go top to bottom, anything like that. I think we played 3 games together, and in every game they started off saying, we're going to pick this comp. You pick the Lili first. And in none of the games did they actually pick a team comp even slightly resembling what our original one was going to be. They picked something completely different every time. They also picked away the Li Ming we were hovering right there. But the enemy team has got a very solid composition overall. With Malf and Oriel being gone, I mean, Right Wing is kind of the other top healer at the moment. They got 2 great warriors in the front, and they've got Li Ming at the back. They're pretty happy with how things are going. We're going to pick up a Vala, it looks like, in the Muradin. I like the Muradin pick a lot. I think he's a great, solid solo warrior. Johanna would have worked decently well too. And yeah, it should be kind of intriguing. We're quite stacked in terms of the ranged basic attack damage. Our damage is going to be fairly slow. We'll see exactly how it goes though into the game. And we'll see what the final pick for the enemy team is going to be to round out their composition. They have a lot of options, honestly. They could get a melee assassin, they could get another ranged damage dealer, second support. It'd be a little bit too much, I think. They probably want something with damage. There's a lot of things they could go for. I don't remember what they pick. Ah, they go for Medivh. Okay, so kind of adding a little bit of support and then some damage as well. Sort of looking to counter out the Kerrigan combo and the pick potential with the Stormbolt and the Kerrigan combo. I think it's a decent pick. I don't think it's amazing. But yeah, as you can see, the enemy team is... They got one Diamond 4 Team League ranked person. They've got one unranked person and 3 Platinum people. So that's the sort of standard we're looking at. Everyone on our team is not ranked. These guys, like, roughly Platinum type standard, I think. So that's the sort of game we're going to be looking at right here. So here we go. Gonna go into this. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a pretty interesting game. It's going to deal with this event right before we get into it. Right, what are we looking to do? As Lili, I'm mostly looking to roam around with my team. I can also put pressure in the lanes. I can be fairly aggressive. But I will be looking to just back up my teammates wherever they go. It will obviously depend on how well they can actually play these heroes and stuff. So we'll see. We'll make some judgments as we go through this. But certainly, I think we've got enough strong sort of solo laners that I'm not really looking to take a solo lane on my own, which is something you can do, at least for a while as Lili. But I'm not too keen on doing that. Rather than being maybe a bit more aggressive, what have you. You can see I'm positioning pretty aggressively in the lane, just getting some basic attacks down, just to poke, knock people off their mounts, anything like that. Medivh has this pretty much completely scouted out, so it doesn't look like there's going to be too much happening at the start. Anyway, you can see that, once again, I'm being very aggressive in terms of my positioning in the lane, knowing that I can only take damage from enemy skill shots, not to dodge around it. And pretty much instantly at the start of this game, you can see I get hit by skill shots here is because effectively what happened in that first little bit of a trade there in the lane, my teammates basically vaulting away from nothing. They're eating a lot of skill shots unnecessarily. So I was kind of positioning up aggressively in the lane, going, we can play around these skill shots and put on a lot of pressure. And then pretty much as soon as that happened, I went, nope, this isn't going to work. My teammates aren't actually capable of doing that. And then I had to devote a lot of attention to helping them out. And then as soon as I had to make that sort of mental switch into helping out my teammates, you can see I instantly start getting hit by the skill shots then, because my attention is diverted from playing aggressively in the lane to compensating for teammates which are going to be getting hit by things that they shouldn't be. So it's kind of interesting the way that works out. I think you could see that really visibly there in like this like sort of sudden switch in the quality of playstyle. At this point though, I realized that the mid lane was fairly under control. That being said, you know, I wasn't super confident, but I wasn't too worried either. And I noticed that down the bottom, Sergeant Hammer is being put under pressure, and that if I go down and help out Sergeant Hammer, well, Sergeant Hammer will be able to push that lane quite substantially. We're not realistically able to push in that mid lane too much, but this bottom lane with Hammer we could certainly do. There's another interesting point there. I was looking at the minimap all that time as well, keeping an eye out. Noticed that the enemy team mid lane, we hadn't seen them in a while. There was the potential that they would be roaming around for a gank. It wasn't strictly necessary or certain that they were doing it, but the potential that they were looking into doing something like that was definitely there. So I was pinging danger, just letting Sergeant Hammer know they might be coming. Pretty much as soon as I pinged it, we saw they did reappear middle, so the pressure was off then. But something to bear in mind and watch out for. As you can see, Sergeant Hammer takes out a tower pretty early on. So getting some pretty nice pressure here in the lane. Now they do get a nice little counter trade there because of that. We take a lot of damage. However, with the tribute spawning top, although because of the damage we took, it basically means we can't really push in down bottom anymore and do like a trade. But it does leave us in a decent position where we can Hearthstone and run up and we'll be alright. See, Sergeant Hammer actually is just running up. She didn't Hearthstone, so she's going to be coming in here with not much HP. And something I really noticed when I watched the first replay back, and I've already noticed again watching this, is that Sergeant Hammer is consistently sieging up. I think it's really like Platinum Sergeant Hammer thing to do, where it's like, you could basic attack without being in siege mode? What are you talking about? That has to be a bug. You can't possibly basic attack if you're not in siege mode. It's a real like thing with Hammer where it's like, you're okay at Hammer, but you're not amazing. You can do so much with Sergeant Hammer, like not being in siege mode. It doesn't matter that much, right? It gives you splash damage, it improves your damage against minions and structures, but for fighting heroes, you don't need to be sieged up. It's just extra range, but you make yourself completely vulnerable and immobile. It's rarely actually worth it. So when you'll see though that in every fight it's like boom, siege up. I'm in siege mode now. We're never going to fight without siege mode, and that gets exploited a lot in this game. You'll see that kind of substantially. But nice moves by the ETC, knocking Sergeant Hammer away, just stopping that siege mode pressure for a little bit longer. I see, by the way, the Muradin is soloing Merc camps. Muradin is very not good at doing that. He's very slow, uses all his mana, he's going to leave it with no mana, no health, and it's going to take him forever. Really don't want to solo with his Muradin, so I need to run down and help him out. And you can see once I arrive, we're going to start actually tearing through that Merc camp a lot quicker. So I actually open him up to being a bit more relevant around the map. And yeah, we'll see how things go. A little bit of banter in the chat as well with Fred. And we get a very favorable tribute spawn. Now the first one was up top, so the second one possibly going to be down bottom. We actually get it down on the bottom and towards our base, so very easy for us to actually defend and try to take this one. Very difficult for the enemy team to contest it, and at the same time we have a siege camp pushing up top, so that's going to be getting a lot of value. I want you guys to pay attention to that. It's just how much value that siege camp is going to get if it gets left alone in the top lane. I don't think they actually do go and deal with it for quite a while. But yeah, you can see this is our team isn't positioned that well. You can see what I'm talking about. Sergeant Hammer, she's not moving around or poking. She's just sitting in that siege mode. And she's getting poked and poked and poked. Medivh gets on top for it. Actually gets knocked back and takes a chunk of damage. But Sergeant Hammer is pretty much dead. I think she actually... Does she die? I'm not sure. She does die. And Kerrigan. They both get dived and killed. I think not... Our team, our positioning and stuff was not ideal. I'm dead now as well. Unfortunately, he was kind of trying to poke around the side. Things kind of went to shit, and suddenly my positioning wasn't very good. But yeah, the Medivh portal's there. I'm trying to juke around and just be kind of annoying and basically try to stay alive for as long as possible and just distract the enemy team. I do get taken out, but we wasted a bit of time. And that's kind of the most we could look for in that sort of situation. As soon as the ETC sort of slid past, I went to try and protect the Fala. ETC slid past, and then I was the one that was out of position, and yeah, pretty much from that moment on I was dead, and it's just a case of stalling, interrupt the tribute, just waste their time for as long as possible, because that should just generate a bit of value over time. Gives teammates time to respawn, gives that siege camp, which as you can see has got that fort down to half health, gives that siege camp more time to get value, just gives our teammates time to reposition, to heal up, and yeah, it gives the enemy team less time to make use of the winning that team fight, basically. And we do take out this bruiser camp. Nice move by them, I have to say, to take the bruisers. I like that a lot. And yeah, there you go. You can see their fort is actually just a little bit below half HP. That's purely from that siege camp we took earlier. I think taking the siege camp is a really good call. I think Muradin trying to take it on his own is a really bad call. It's the sort of thing where you ping for help, you get someone to come with you, or you do something like that. You don't want to be taking it on your own as Muradin, it is so slow, but it's a good... The theory of taking the siege camp is pretty good, and the spawn worked out. Just it was the best spawn we could have possibly gotten, and yeah, very, very happy with that. So able to put up quite a bit of pressure down here as well. I'm just kind of harassing these heroes. I'm not too worried about, you know, being killed or anything. There's really nothing they can do. I'm just delaying them. Demounted their heroes. Just kind of poked into them, annoyed them. So we know that Zarya and Medivh are going to be pretty slow getting up to this fight. Unfortunately, our teammates go in 4v3 and they actually lose the fight. So that's not ideal. There's very much nothing I can do about that, right? It's I was certainly late getting there. However, by me being late, it also meant that the Zarya and the Medivh were late. It was just unfortunate that it didn't quite work out. I'm not sure exactly what went wrong in that sort of situation, but the Kerrigan did get killed early, 4v3, when really should be winning. And you know, when something bad like that happens, there's not much you can do. Luckily though, Zarya wastes a huge heroic for basically nothing. And right now, able to push in here fairly aggressively once again. It's only Li Ming for their main source of damage, and I know I can duke around her skill shots. They're really not going to do too much. I mean, as you can see, in the middle of them, and they're not actually doing anything. Sergeant Hammer is sieged up over by the fishing point. Why are you sieged up there? I do not know. But we do kind of win this fight over time. ETC actually sliding in. Kerrigan taking a chunk of damage from the Li Ming, but we're able to dive the back of the enemy team quite heavily right here. I put a lot of pressure on. Now Kerrigan and Sergeant Hammer have reappeared. I'm starting to put a little bit of hurt on the enemy team as well. In the meantime, Vala has been just taking out that bottom fort, so that's pretty fantastic. Can't complain about that too much. Do a bit of damage here, keeping everyone alive. The enemy team they're doing a decent job in terms of the Medivh portals and harassing and stuff like that. Voice communication obviously being a help, but they haven't actually got too much out of it. Vala didn't quite finish off the bottom fort, but it doesn't really matter. We're not close enough to a talent here anyway. Sergeant Hammer is half dead, has to pop first aid now. She's going to be stage dived upon. Exactly what I was talking about. Look, way too much sieging of it. She's sieged up again. Like, there's really no point. You don't actually gain anything out of it. If you just ran around and basic attacked, it would work so much better. If you want to see that in action, I've got a couple of Sergeant Hammer games up. I think I have 3 up recently, actually. One of them was very bad. The most recent one was very bad, but there was one on just sort of Sergeant Hammer being a top win rate hero when she first got those buffs. Then I think placement game like 4 or 5, something like that, from Hero League this season. Should give you a pretty good insight into how you can actually play Hammer. But anyway, this is pretty nice. This has worked out really well. We actually win the fight, grab the tribute. It's 2-all in terms of tributes, and really good call for the boss. You can see, by the way, I had no mana. I wanted a Heartstone, but as soon as my teammates started doing the boss, I just cancelled that play entirely. I say, alright, gotta stick with you. Don't have mana to do very much, but the sort of just the natural regen and the couple of spells I can throw out will be more than worthwhile and just help us to secure that boss safely. Boss does take out the fort, and now we're doing a pretty classic Cursed Hollow thing, which is you take one boss and then you go and grab the other one. We've got a lot of damage on the boss between Vala and Sergeant Hammer as well, so we're going to be able to tear through this without too much hassle. No way that the enemy team can contest this at all, because they have to be up top dealing with the other one. So there you go. We basically, by a nice call for the first boss by the team, we're then able to get a second boss out of that pretty much for free. I have gone for the Wind Serpent build in this game, by the way, in case I didn't mention. So throwing that W onto, it will last quite a long time. It will do constant healing and constant damage. It actually adds up to a fair amount of damage. So you're going to see, I'm going to try throw it onto anyone who's preferably in melee range. You can do a lot of damage. Right here we get caught out. Really deserved to die right there. I got so lucky. So lucky. I can't believe I actually survived as long as I did. And we actually turned that around. That was... I could very easily have died. very easily. Oh, another thing you'll have noticed during the team fights as well is that I'm trying to get my blinds onto the Zarya. That's my priority target for the blinds. She has... This is before she got nerfed. She has the highest sort of basic attack damage out of the enemy team, so she's the main target to try to catch that with. Nice combo by the Kerrigan, actually getting a lot of damage down on Zarya. But yeah, trying to blind her whenever possible just to deny her damage in the team fight and pressuring in aggressively as well. And yeah, that's the main thing I'm planning to do as Lili, is position in a way that I'm not in too much danger. Just be using kind of Q on cooldown, get my Serpent onto people who are going to be in melee or in range to get those attacks off and get all that value. I'm then blinding the Zarya, using my heroic whenever people need it. I start trolling, I think it's our Kerrigan, yes, Kerrigan. I start trolling her here a little bit, following her on the sheep. I do try to send the cheeky face, but I'm in the wrong chat thing and go, oh well, you know what, we're actually going for the core. This could be kind of closer than I thought it was going to be when I started trolling. I'll just tell them afterwards and I'll focus on actually winning. Until then, pick up Serpent Sidekick at this point too, which will get another Serpent. This one, the Serpent build kind of comes into its own. But yeah, we're on the core. I just popped the heroic. It wasn't urgent, but just to top everyone off, just maximize the healing as we push in. And that's game. Turn into a victory very quickly. Very quickly. Shows you the power of the double boss Cursed Hollow. It's basically everything on this map that wins you the game kind of just fell into place for us. We won a fight over the tribute up top. We could transition that into taking the enemy's boss, and because we took the enemy's boss and they had to deal with it, we got to take our boss. And then we had our boss. We won another fight then over the tribute, got the curse, and then we had our boss pushing in with the curse, pushed it all the way to the core, and took it out. GG, there you go, all done. And didn't make the MVP screen at all, which is very sad. It's very sad. I gave it a 4-star match experience. It was pretty good. it's pretty relaxing. Like I said, I enjoyed not having to shock wall or do anything much. But I mean, like, as you can see, our damage isn't too far behind like the Vala or the Kerrigan. It's pretty decent with this build, the Wind Serpent build, and it's fun. I like it. You got good wave pressure and good solo pressure. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. Just a little quick little Team League game for fun. Lili is now our Team League mascot. She's looks ridiculously huge compared to Li Ming. It's kind of scary and disturbing. But there you go. Give it a like if you liked it. I'll see you all next time for more Here's the Storm. Bye bye.